Hello guys and welcome back to another video from the Art of War channel. Today we are reacting to no video other than Napoleon's Marshal Part 3. I nailed a lot of the Marshals. I nailed Jordan, I nailed Perignon, I nailed Pontiarovsky, I nailed Brune, I nailed Serurier, I nailed Lefebvre. I nailed a lot. I disagree with the position of some marshals. I disagree with Bernadotte being that lower, but that doesn't matter. Let's just do the provision for the marshals today. So I think that a very unknown marshal will be here. That marshal is Saint-Cyr. I'm not sure, but he's very unknown, and I know that was some political stuff with Napoleon that made him very sideline, but yeah, he was actually quite good. But I think he isn't on the best one, so I think he will be here. I think that Soult will be here. I think that Berthier will be here, and maybe Oudinot will be here. I think Saint-Cyr, Oudinot, sure, Soult, or Soult was already. No, Soult wasn't. Yeah. Oudinot, Soult, Saint-Cyr, and maybe Berthier. I can't say more.
Terror belli, decus pacis. Terror in war, ornament in peace. The words inscribed on every French marshal's baton. In France,
Also, there were some people speculating in the comments in the last video saying that maybe Suchet would be on this one, and I'm not taking that out. So I think it will be Berthier or Suchet. If Berthier is out, it will be Suchet. If Berthier is on, it won't be Suchet, because Suchet was a very, very good marshal.
the title of Marshal or Maréchal goes back at least to the 13th century. It represents the highest possible position of military authority symbolized by a marshal's baton. The title was abolished during the French Revolution as incompatible with the egalitarian spirit of the age. But in 1804, Napoleon founded a new empire and restored the ancient rank. This is Epic History TV's guide to Napoleon's Marshals. All 26 have been ranked according to our own evaluation of their achievements as marshals, with expert guidance from Lieutenant Colonel Remy Porte, former chief historian of the French Army. So far, we've met Marshals Perignon, Brune, Serurier, Kellerman, Grouchy, Moncey, Poniatowski, Jourdan, Bernadotte, Augereau, Lefebvre, Mortier, and Marmont. First, a big thanks to our video sponsor, Blinkist. Blinkist is here to help solve a big problem for many of us. So many people, non-fiction, greater our nature. In long-term viewer limited access for 1 week, and 25% and you can cancel at any.
We start already with the right one. We start already with Saint-Cyr, so already good. We already start with Saint-Cyr.
Marshal Saint-Cyr.
He's the best man among us in the line of defense, though I am superior to him in attack. No one was superior to Napoleon in attack at this time. Maybe Davout, but Napoleon was still better.
Gouvion Saint-Cyr was a gifted student who ran away from a miserable childhood to become an artist. A passionate Republican.
He was a son of a butcher, and he died from a heart attack. I guess too much cholesterol, ain't I right?
He embraced the French Revolution and later volunteered for military service. Though proud and aloof by nature, his Republican politics and sharp intellect ensured he was elected captain of his company. His skill at drawing enemy positions then got him noticed by General Custine, who gave him a job on his...
Oh, a fun fact about General Custine, he was guillotined by Robespierre in 1793. Yeah, Custine was guillotined. So cool.
staff. During these turbulent early years of the Revolution, Custine was one of several generals who was punished for defeat with a trip to the guillotine. Saint-Cyr's instinctive grasp of warfare, brilliant planning and tactics won him promotion from volunteer to general of division in 2 years. An even more remarkable achievement, as he'd had no formal military training. But his cold, analytical approach meant that he was always a respected leader, rather than loved. After 5 years' service with the Army of the Rhine, he was sent to Italy. At the disastrous Battle of Novi, he commanded the French right wing, but skillfully extricated his troops from the debacle.
This victory was a brilliant victory from General Suvorov against the French. It was a brilliant victory. Yeah.
The next year he was back on...
Oh, if they're talking about 1800 because it's the next year it's the next year after 1799, and in the Rhine, the battles that happened, the great battle was Hohenlinden, where General Morio, a very good general, defeated the Austrians, while Napoleon defeated them in Marengo.
On the Rhine, and won a brilliant victory over the Austrians at Bibrach. But a bitter dispute with his commander, General Moreau, encouraged rumours that Saint-Cyr was impossible to work with. Saint-Cyr believed soldiers should not meddle in politics, and did not support Napoleon's seizure of power in 1799. Nor did he show much enthusiasm for Napoleon's decision to crown himself emperor 5 years later. His political views cost him dearly. Saint-Cyr was sidelined for several years, while less able generals were made marshals.
Less able generals were made marshals. Huh. Yeah, but this, as I said, this is kind of visible in the 21st century, because you don't hear a lot about Saint-Cyr.
In 1805 he commanded French forces in central Italy, but when he was made subordinate to Marshal Massena, a man whom he personally detested,
everybody detested Massena,
he returned to Paris, even when Napoleon threatened to have him shot for desertion. In 1808, Saint-Cyr was given command of a corps for the invasion of Spain, but his failure to take Girona meant he was relieved of command. Leaving in a fury before his replacement, Marshal Oudinot, had arrived, he was nearly court-martialed again for desertion.
He was nearly court-martialed again.
Saint-Cyr's military talent, however, was not in doubt. In 1812 he was recalled for the Russia campaign.
Napoleon knows who to trust in Russia.
With command of 6th Bavarian Corps. His role was to support Marshal Oudinot in guarding the northern flank of the French salient. When Wittgenstein's Russians attacked at Polotsk, Oudinot was wounded and Saint-Cyr took over command, turning...
Fun fact about Oudinot. Oudinot was injured like 80 times. I'm not kidding. He was always injured. Like, he being injured at the Battle of Polotsk, it isn't a surprise. He was injured like 80 times in his career, and he didn't die from battle.
Probable defeat into a brilliant victory. For this achievement, Napoleon awarded Saint-Cyr his Marshal's baton. But 2 months later, at a second Battle of Polotsk, Saint-Cyr was attacked by a larger Russian army, seriously wounded in the foot and forced to pull back. His injury meant he missed the worst horrors of the Russian retreat, but he contracted typhus early in 1813 and was sick for many months. Saint-Cyr returned to the Grande Armée in August, taking command of 14th Corps and the defence of Dresden. Incredibly, this was the first and only time that he worked directly alongside the Emperor.
Really, a marshal and only one time he commanded, or first time in 1813 he commanded alongside the emperor. That's actually surprising.
And both soon learned new respect of Dresden. Incredibly, this was the first and only time that he worked
it was the only time actually.
Directly alongside the emperor, and both soon learned new respect for each other's abilities. Saint-Cyr's skilled defense of Dresden set the stage for Napoleon's great victory there later that month. But Saint-Cyr was incredulous when Napoleon later ordered him to remain in Dresden, while other forces concentrated for the decisive Battle of...
What? Saint-Cyr wasn't at Leipzig. He ordered him to stay in Dresden. What?
Leipzig, 60 miles to the west. Napoleon's defeat at Leipzig meant that Saint-Cyr and other garrisons in the east...
Oh, he was cut off. Oh, he was cut off. Because Napoleon didn't want him.
...were cut off and had to surrender that autumn. Saint-Cyr took no part in the 100 Days, determined to keep out of France's political disputes. Under the restored monarchy, he served as Minister of War and tried but failed to save Marshal Ney from the death penalty.
A lot of marshals, in case you didn't know, tried to save Ney from the death penalty. He was just one of them. Moncey tried, everyone tried to save Ney, because Ney didn't deserve it, but he was executed.
He also struggled to enact military reforms in the face of royalist opposition, eventually resigning in disgust and retiring to his country estate. Marshal Saint-Cyr remains one of the great what-ifs of the Napoleonic Wars, an extremely able commander sidelined for his politics, who might well have proved one of Napoleon's very best marshals. 12.
Marshal Oudinot, another one nailed.
Marshal Oudinot.
A decent fellow, but not very bright. Napoleon, let me tell you guys, Napoleon has some sick lines. A decent fellow, but not very bright.
Nicolas Oudinot.
He was actually a good general, in my opinion. 80 wounds in combat, and he didn't die from any infection or the wounds.
Ran away to join the army aged 17, but his father dragged him home 3 years later.
Son of a brewer, okay? Natural causes age 80. A guy which was injured like 80 times, and he dies from natural causes with aged 80. Incredible.
Later, to help run the family business. When the revolution began, he volunteered for the National Guard and was promoted to Major. In the wars that followed, he served with the Army of the Rhine, always in the thick of the fighting, rapidly promoted and frequently wounded, a habit for which he became celebrated. In 1799, he was promoted to General of Division and sent to Switzerland to serve as General Massena's new Chief of Staff, a role he performed to...
I owe the greatest praise to General Oudinot. He has assisted me in all my movements and seconded me to perfection. But you were best, you were best. You were better, Massena, you were better.
Perfection. Serving with General Bahoun in Italy, he led a cavalry charge against an Austrian battery at the Battle of Monzembano, sabering gunners and capturing one cannon himself, a feat for which Napoleon awarded him a Sword of Honor. In 1805, the newly crowned Emperor Napoleon gave Oudinot command of an elite grenadier division formed...
I know this. Oudinot commanded the elite grenadiers division during some time in the Battle of Friedland, one of the most important battles in Napoleon's career. He commanded the elite grenadiers.
From the tallest, strongest soldiers in the army. In December that year at the Battle of Austerlitz, Oudinot insisted on leading the division in person despite having been shot in the thigh 2 weeks earlier.
What?
His grenadiers were kept in reserve for most of the battle, but saw heavy fighting in the latter stages, as Napoleon completed the destruction of the Allied left wing.
Sorry about the brightness, it's fixed.
At the siege of Danzig in 1807, General Oudinot's division had the unusual distinction of capturing an enemy warship, a British
What? An army captured an enemy warship? That's unique.
sloop that had run aground trying to resupply the city.
Oh, it has run aground.
A month later, at Friedland, Oudinot and his grenadiers
I told you.
were under Marshal Lannes' command and played a crucial role holding up the Russian army, until Napoleon arrived to deal a decisive blow.
Oh, this guy in the picture is General Oudinot. What? I didn't know this. This guy in the picture is General Oudinot. I thought it was like Bernadotte or something.
During the 1809 war,
No, it couldn't be Bernadotte because Bernadotte was injured. He was seriously wounded, so it couldn't be Bernadotte. But I didn't know it was Oudinot.
with Austria, Oudinot was wounded once more at the Battle of Aspern. When Marshal Lannes died of his wounds,
Yeah, Oudinot is wounded and he doesn't die. Marshal Lannes is wounded one time and he dies. I mean, Marshal Lannes had both his legs cut off now, but smashed by a cannonball. His legs were smashed by a cannonball. So, I mean, he was expected to die.
Napoleon chose Oudinot to succeed him as commander of 2nd Corps. He led his new corps with such success at Wagram 6 weeks later that Napoleon attributed victory to Massena and Oudinot. A week later, he became one of 3 new marshals, one for France, one for the army, one for friendship.
Yeah, I knew this. I knew this. If you watch the last episode, it will be here on the right top corner. We saw this because of Marmont and MacDonald, and we also know that Napoleon then said to Marmont, "You haven't showed me enough to deserve this promotion."
Oudinot, the army's choice, fearless and much loved, a man whose courage inspired all around him. He later received an additional reward, the title Duke of Reggio. In 1812, Marshal Oudinot led 2nd Corps into Russia, but was wounded again at Polotsk and handed over command to General Saint-Cyr. 10 weeks later, he was back with his corps, marching south to join up with Napoleon's army on its retreat from Moscow. Oudinot's men were shocked when they saw their old comrades from the main column. They looked more like fugitives than soldiers of the Grande Armée.
Really?
Since Oudinot's 2nd Corps was in better shape than most, it formed the vanguard for the desperate crossing of the Berezina River. But the next day, in bitter fighting to hold the bridgehead against the Russians, Oudinot was shot from his saddle.
Again.
He was carried back to a cottage with a serious gunshot wound, but then he and his party became surrounded by Cossacks. Oudinot asked for his pistols, and from his bed, aiming through an opening opposite, began firing at the Cossacks.
Incredible.
They were rescued by friendly troops, just in time.
Incredible.
Oudinot was back with the Grande Armée in Germany in 1813.
Oh, Oudinot was stopped by Bernadotte at the gates of Berlin.
In August, Napoleon ordered him to lead an advance on Berlin, but he was defeated by Bernadotte's Army of the North at Grossbeeren. He then retreated in the wrong direction, causing Napoleon to remark, "It's truly difficult to have less brains than the Duke of Reggio."
Ooh! That's why he said a decent person but not very bright.
In Oudinot's defense, he'd probably been given an impossible task. Insufficient men to take on a strong opponent, bad weather, terrible roads, and he himself unwell, possibly not yet recovered from his ordeal in Russia. Napoleon put Oudinot back where he was most effective, leading troops in combat under his close supervision. At Leipzig he commanded 2 divisions of the Young Guard, engaged in heavy fighting on the southern front for 2 days. Oudinot continued to serve the Emperor courageously and loyally as a corps commander in the final campaign of 1814. But in April he was one of several marshals to confront Napoleon with the reality of his position and force his abdication. When Napoleon returned from exile in 1815, Oudinot refused to break his new oath to the monarchy, but declared neutrality, telling Napoleon, "Since I shall not serve you, sire, I shall serve no one." He continued to hold senior commands under the Bourbons. By one estimate, Oudinot was wounded 36 times in his military.
It was only 36 times, not 80. I'm kidding. 36 times is a huge amount. And imagine, you didn't have antiseptics, and yes, you didn't have antiseptics at the time, so every wound you could, every little cut on your skin, you could get an infection and die, just like that. So yeah, it's a really one shot in his freaking head.
Military career, more than any other.
Saber wounds on his on his, I mean, how do I say, on his, I don't, on his body, I mean on his belly, on his arm.
A marshal. Here are just
Saber cut on his neck, gunshot on his lungs.
20 that we found details for. A fellow officer who bathed with him at
Grape shot in Poland. Oh, I want to hear about this. I imagine what his body must have looked like with all the scars.
20 that we found details for. A fellow officer who bathed with him at a spa after the war saw the scars on his body and observed he was little more than a colander. Ironically, Oudinot was also one of the longest-lived marshals, dying aged 80 while serving as governor of Les Invalides.
I said Marshal Victor. I don't remember. I hope I said. I think I said Berthier. Sincere.
11.
Oudinot. Sincere Oudinot. Berthier. Oh, I said Salt or something. Damn it. This is the, like, in the first 10 seconds of the other video, like, this is the second attempt of recording this video, and in the first I know I said Marshal Victor, so I'm a bit pissed off. Just a little bit pissed off, but it's okay. It will be on the second part because, guys, we are on 23 minutes, a shorter episode than most of Napoleon's reactions episodes, but I promise we will have more next time. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Like, subscribe, and share the video with your friends. Comment down below your suggestions, and I'll see you next time. Bye.